Hello everyone, and welcome to this Diablo 3 video. Today we're going to be providing a ranking of every set dungeon there is in the game based on their difficulty. There's 7 classes, each with 4 set dungeons, for a total of 28 dungeons in the game. Plus we'll be discussing which set dungeon is the easiest for you to complete to get your seasonal journey done. To get started, let's first talk about why you would want to do these dungeons. Every new Diablo 3 season, you can complete the seasonal journey objectives to earn additional stash tabs and new cosmetic rewards. To complete the seasonal journey, you'll need to master a single set dungeon by completing all of its objectives. Additionally, you can earn various cosmetic rewards the first time you complete the dungeons. Mastering each dungeon will give you a unique banner sigil. Mastering all 4 dungeons for each class will give you 2 pennants. And best of all, mastering all 24 out of the 28 set dungeons, excluding the 4 necromancer ones, will give you 2 pairs of wings, the wings of the dedicated and the wings of mastery, which are cool cosmetic items to display on your character. Completing these set dungeons will also offer you some variety in the game. Diablo 3 is naturally very grindy, and a break from the action every once in a while can be good. You'll get exposure to different set gear and playstyles that you might not otherwise ever try. You never know when you might come across your next favorite build. So without further ado, here's the complete ranking list, in order from the hardest at number 28 to the easiest at number 1. There are several factors that play a role in determining how easy or difficult the dungeons are relative to each other. Let's go through a few of the key ones now so you can understand how the rankings were generated. Overall, this ranking list is generally based on how easy the set dungeons are to complete with the minimum number of gear pieces equipped. Many of the set dungeons can be completed by using only the 6 pieces of the respective set, with no supporting legendary items, gems, or powers in Kanai's cube. However, several dungeons do require either at least 1 extra gear piece with a key legendary power on it, or they require just better overall gear with higher damage output and toughness. Additionally, some legendary powers can trivialize and in some cases completely negate an entire dungeon objective. This reliance on certain items can give you a wildly different experience in terms of difficulty, and obtaining these extra items can be a chore if you don't already have them sitting in your stash. The dungeon objectives themselves also dictate how difficult a dungeon may be. Some set dungeons have objectives that just happen naturally while you play and sync up perfectly with the particular set's mechanics, while other objectives require you to go out of your way to do things like group up a minimum number of monsters or avoid getting hit by particular enemies or effects. In order to complete the objectives, some set dungeons will require some practice to get used to the set mechanics, the objectives themselves, the route you need to take, or the locations of specific enemies or other critical dungeon features. Some dungeons you'll be able to complete on your first attempt, while others will require repeated attempts until you learn what you need to do. And then, some set dungeons are just naturally more forgiving than others. There are several where you can fail by just getting hit a single time. And there are others that require you to group up enemies, but there are only a few opportunities to do so. Set dungeons where you can fail by having one thing go wrong in an otherwise perfect run are ranked lower on the list. Another factor is repeatability, or how reliably you can successfully complete all of the set dungeon objectives in back-to-back attempts. Your ability to master some dungeons will be subject to randomness, usually associated with the objectives that require grouping a certain number of enemies together. Some dungeons just don't have that many opportunities for grouping attempts, so you can easily come up short. And lastly, of course, there's personal experience. Your specific experience and number of hours played of a certain class or set or build, along with your personal affinity for that type of build, can dictate how easy a dungeon is for you to complete. If you haven't spent a lot of time with a particular class or set, then it naturally may take you longer to get adjusted to it before you can master the corresponding dungeon. Now let's review each of the classes to see what they have to offer. Barbarian has some tough set dungeons. The Might of the Earth and Wrath of the Waste sets are easily 2 of the toughest dungeons there are to consistently complete. However, luckily for them, Barbarians have the easiest set dungeon of them all in the Immortal King's Call set. So if you're looking to complete a single set dungeon for the seasonal journey, there is no doubt which one to choose. The Crusader class has some of the easier set dungeons, with 3 of them falling in the top 11. If you're looking to complete a single set dungeon for the seasonal journey, then the Thorns of the Invoker set is definitely the easiest to get it done. Demon Hunter has the hardest time of all classes, with all 4 of their set dungeons showing up in the bottom half of the list. If you're looking to complete a single dungeon for the seasonal journey, then Natalio's Vengeance is probably the most reliable dungeon to complete. But if you're comfortable with the Shadow's Mantle set, that's not a bad choice either. The Monk set dungeons are pretty tough. The Uliana's Stratagem set dungeon is easily by far the hardest one to complete, especially if you don't have the extra key recommended items in addition to the set itself. If you're looking for the best set dungeon to complete for your seasonal journey, then the Monkey King's Garb set barely edges out the Raiment of a Thousand Storms set in terms of difficulty. However, I rank the Raiment of a Thousand Storms higher on the list in difficulty because of its one-hit fail objective, where you must avoid all succubus projectiles. This dungeon can be pretty easy if you can avoid these projectiles, because there's no grouping objective like with the Monkey King's Garb set, especially if you have Nemesis Bracers equipped and don't have to kill all the monsters in the dungeon. Necromancer has the easiest time in set dungeons out of all the classes, and it's not even close, with all 4 of their sets falling in the top 10 easiest dungeons to complete. If you're looking to complete a single set dungeon for the seasonal journey, you can't go wrong picking any of the 4, so just choose whichever one you know the best or have the set for, but the Grace of Inaria set is the easiest and most straightforward. The Witch Doctor set dungeons all fall in the middle of the pack for difficulty. If you're looking to complete a single set dungeon for the seasonal journey, then the Spirit of Arakir set is the easiest, but the Zunamasa's Haunt set is also not a bad choice. Wizard has a pretty good spread on set dungeon difficulty. The Firebird's Finery set is the clear choice for getting the seasonal journey completed. The other dungeons are comparatively either too item dependent or the objectives are too finicky. So there's the easiest set dungeons for each class. Remember that this is based on my personal ranking, so your perspective may not exactly match up, but hopefully this list can provide you with some direction of what dungeons to pursue. Make sure you keep an eye out for the corresponding set pieces as you're collecting gear in the earlier stages of the season. And also check for links in the video description to the guides we have available for each of the set dungeons to see what additional items are recommended to have equipped. It's much easier to get this done if you have the appropriate items stashed away for when you're ready. And with that, we'll wrap it up. If you enjoyed the video and would like to see more content, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. Thanks for watching.